Good day, my name is Lynn Brandenberger. I work for the Department of Horticulture and Landscape Architecture at Oklahoma State University. Today we're going to be talking about how to hook drip tape up to a header line. And I think you'll be interested to see this. The important thing is to remember it's not really that complicated, and hopefully you'll get the gist of it as we go. So as you can see, we've got this blue lay flat out as our manifold that we're running our drip tapes off of. And the system that we're using primarily this year is we are using these valves here which go into the lay flat, and then the other end goes into the drip tape. Another way to do that, though, because this is about $1.50, okay, another way to do that is to use this plastic tubing. It's 1/8 inch plastic tubing. You can cut a foot or 2 foot strips, and you cut it at an angle so it's kind of sharp, and then you make your hole. And here we've got something we use to make our holes with, and you make that hole in the lay flat, and then you could insert this plastic tube, and you want the tube to go the same direction the water's going to go so it doesn't catch any trash that might be in the tube. And then you would punch a hole in the bottom of the drip tape and then insert the other end. This is $1.50. This is 10 cents. So this allows us to turn rows on and off, which is a very nice thing to be able to do. This does not. So you've kind of got decisions to make in regard to how much money you can spend and what you need to be able to do with your system. Okay, so we've made the hole here. I'm going to put just a little bit of spit on there to make it so this thing will go in there, and then this valve is installed and ready to go. If you're laying drip tape with a better shaper, this roll of drip tape would be on the better shaper, and it would actually automatically put it down. But since we're laying it on top of the ground, we've made this handy dandy rack here to hold our spool of tape, and you can see that as you pull the tape it just unrolls. I also want to point out that the top of the drip tape, that's where the little orifices or holes are where the water comes out, should be on the top. You don't want it on the bottom. If it's on the bottom, then what happens, all the trash and anything that's in the drip tape will settle into this emitter hole and clog it up. So always put it with the emitter hole up. So we're going to go to the other end. We're going to grab a hold of this drip tape, and we're going to take it down here, and we will connect it on the other end. So on the end where we're going to have the drip tape end, Linda that I work with has driven in these rebars, and so that's in the ground probably 8 or 12 inches, and then we're just going to tie this off. We could just stop the end up. We could fold it 2 or 3 times like this, and then cut a little sleeve and stop this. But the problem with not attaching it to something, especially in Oklahoma, is that we always have wind, and you get a thunderstorm or just a good wind, and all your drip tapes are just kind of flying all over the field, and then you have to go reset them. So this stops that. This idea I got from a grower, Steve Hill, and it's a great idea. Just put a rebar in the ground. We wrap this around here a couple of times, and then we just tie a good tight knot, and we're pretty much done. So you can see that we've got that, and we still got our emitter holes on the up, because you can end up with this where it twists it. So just make sure you pull that good and tight. If you're really like one of those guys that wears a belt and suspenders, and you want to make sure it's not going to leak very much, you can make a couple more wraps and then tie it one more time. So that's pretty much how you do the ends. You want a little bit of tension So when we go to the other end and attach it, we're going to pull it. We don't want it tremendous amount of tension on it, but enough to keep that drip tape where it's not going to be floating around, because it expands and contracts as it gets hot in the daytime, and then it contracts at night. So you kind of get the idea. You can't pull it super tight, but you can't leave it flopping around either. So we're going to go to the other end now and hook this up. So we've connected up the far end away from the header pipe, and now we've come back on this end and we're going to attach this to this. Now I've got a little bit of tension, not a tremendous amount, but a little bit on this line, and then I've got my handy dandy scissors that Linda always uses, and I'm going to cut my line right here. This nut goes back and forth, and we want it clear up against the valve so we have as much of this exposed as possible. And then we just kind of hold this open, and you can tell it's got a little bit of tension on it because it wants to pull off. And then we turn this nut to tighten this up, and that's what holds that. So that's pretty much ready to go. Now when this comes on, this header line will fill full of water, and once it gets enough pressure, it'll start pushing water right down these lines, and pretty much that's it. There are several tools you can get. This is just we call this a rat tail file. It's got a nice sharp point on it. That's what we use, or Linda uses. You can buy a tool to actually punch holes in this, but a lot of times what you've got at home works as good or better than what you buy. A couple of other things before we finish up here. This type of plumbing, whether it's lay flat or you could use poly pipe, normally use what we call barbed connector. So this is an end connector, so you have to stop the end up. So we normally use a connector like this to stop that end up, and then you'll use some clamps on that to hold that still. And then of course you've always got a piece that you've got to make longer. Okay, that's just cut twice and find out it's still too short, right? So this is a connector to connect pieces of this lay flat together. So actually if this was cut here, then we would put this in here and we could extend this on. So that's pretty much it for today. We hope that this will help you get started with drip irrigation. It's really a lot simpler than it sounds. It can sound very daunting when you first start, but after you've done it a while, it's like, okay, I got this, I understand it. Thanks again, and if you have any questions, contact your county extension office in your county.